Well, hello there. Here we are back again in what seems like a better day for India as compared to the days one and two. But as an overall test, this just seems slipping too far ahead from India. As usual, I have Gurkirat and Nikhil with me. How are you, boys? What's up?
Yeah,
Just going through the motions because I personally feel that the result of this game was pretty much sealed on the first day. It's just that the formalities are being done because Australia 300 runs ahead, and given how inconsistent the bounce is becoming on this pitch, uh, I even if Australia were to declare right now, I would not say that India would be the favorites to chase it. And I think Australia will look to bat at least another session and maybe an hour and probably stretch this lead to 400.
Hmm.
And given how the ball is turning and how our batters have played spin in recent times, there's not only the threat of inconsistent bounce, there's also the turn. So yeah, I mean, uh, not very optimistic of India's chances of even saving the test match. Win, I feel, is out of question right now.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we talk about the ball turning, it just makes me feel like doing this. Ki bhai, why are we even discussing this? Because it was supposed to be a green top, cloudy weather for 5 days, all pace attack kind of a game. But yeah, don't know what to say. Hinigel, your thoughts? Do you echo that? Does it feel like a slow death from an Indian fan perspective?
uh, it depends on people. I don't think I had any expectations from the 11, which is why I was just watching the game in terms of what can you get out of this. India got some very good runs from Rahane. Cannot fault him. He's been the only guy who's scoring under pressure. You need those guys in the side. Very keen to see if he can follow up because that is what is the reason why he was not part of the system. So if he can follow this up with good scores, very good. You get something positive out of it. Shardul Thakur's innings was a very good positive for India in terms of how he applied himself. He got a lot of blows as well, but hung in there, did not throw his bat away, did not say that there will be one ball with my name. So let's keep going every ball. So good in that sense. You need that price on the wicket kind of batting from your lower order. So those two were of course very good, and that on drive. I think that on drive has to have a mention because it was very good, very good.
Yeah. I mean, talking about Shardul Thakur, he's scored three consecutive half centuries at the Oval now, and he's the only batter after Sir Donald Bradman and Alan Water to do so. So it's high time the Oval should be renamed Lord or Lords, as you might call it. Uh, yeah, but I mean, talking about
Yeah,
Ajinkya Rahane and
yeah,
the best thing that I liked about him is that he did not spare the loose balls. If you just
yeah,
pull up his pitch map right now, uh,
yeah,
he was pretty aggressive to everything pitched full, and that one hook that he played was so good to watch. So
yeah.
I mean, this is what we
Expect.
call a positive
Mm.
mindset, positive batting. It's a pretty crucial knock from Rahane, not just in the context of the game, but the context of his career
Mm.
as well, because it might just give him that second, that steam is he needs to salvage his career from here and give another push
Mm.
for at least a year and then take it from there. But he was
Yeah,
lucky along the way as well, because one must not forget that even yesterday he would have been gone had Pat Cummins not overstepped, and then there were drop catches too. But then rub of the green went in favor of him. Despite everything, the innings that he compiled was top notch. What do you
yeah.
guys think about his knock? And where do you think he could go from here? What is the lesson that he could learn from this knock, so that even when he's playing, let's say in West Indies later in the year, or the more crucial series, South Africa,
Yeah.
towards the end of this year, I mean, what can he do differently?
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's the clarity of thought that he had, and which is what shown for all of us when he was batting well in the IPL as well. That it is a different format, but it's the clarity of mind that okay, this is the kind of game that I want to play, and this is how I'll play. So there have been instances in the past where he starts off very well, and then just suddenly gets out of nowhere. So that is something that he'll want to avoid as a pattern for him. Because otherwise, you talk about Rahane, there are very few things that you can say that okay, this is where he usually gets out. This is how he usually gets out. The problem has been the consistency in terms of when you get in, you have to go on and make it a big one. So today was a very good example. He was hit as well, and again, no balls, drop catches are not your fault. But if he can continue to bat freely, as you said, did not let the bad balls go away unpunished. That is just a simple way to go. That you play your best game, and then you see where it takes you. So if he can continue to do that, it doesn't matter that he'll always get a 80. Even if he gets a good 40 odd or a 40s, 50s consistently at that spot, I think my expectations of hundreds are from the top order. So at number five, I'm expecting more impactful knocks from somebody like him. And if he can do that, then nothing like it.
Yeah, and we have 40 people watching us right now. So please just do like this video. And if you think India will actually put up a fight going into day 4 and 5, then you should definitely like this video. Gurgath, your thoughts on Rahane's knock and overall his future from here on?
See, it was a good innings. I even if you talk about the luck part, that is something you ought to have it, because I felt when he was dropped after the tour in South Africa, he had a few unlucky dismissals, like the ball that he got from Rabada in Johannesburg, and then the ball that he got from Janssen straight away on that third morning in Cape Town. So he did also have a few unlucky dismissals. So I think even more or less the luck part evens out. What I feel is that probably given how Indian selections work, that he has maybe cemented his spot for the tour of South Africa. I definitely see him playing in West Indies, because I don't think now he will get the axe. So what I'd want is that when he goes to West Indies, then he should look to really carry this form, because his biggest criticism and one of the reasons why he doesn't average in the 40s, while others, despite their slowdown or whatever struggle, everything still are averaging in the 40s. Say Pujara's averaging 44, Kohli's averaging 48, is the fact that he's not been able to get a string of scores together. So now that he has gotten this score, he should really look to build on this score and not find ways to getting dismissed, because like Nikhil said, there is no pattern, or there has not been a pattern of dismissals with Ajinkya Rahane. He's just found random ways to get out sometimes, because you look at the last World Test Championship final, he was batting very well. He batted very well for his 49. I think he had batted some 150 odd balls or probably more in those conditions, which was actually very difficult. And then the fielder was just moved to square leg for him, for Wagner to attempt a short ball, and he just gifted his wicket away by just finding that fielder, which he could have easily avoided. So hopefully not a lot of these mistakes going ahead into the future, because India really need one of their top four or top five batters to be reliable now in test matches, because that reliability factor has completely gone out of the window. And as a serious test side, you can't really have that from your top five batters.
Yeah, true. I mean, this was, I think, the third 100-run partnership with the seventh wicket, if I'm not wrong, in the recent few times. It's just bizarre. I mean, it has almost come to a point that we have started not expecting any runs from the top order, and we just wait कि भाई अगर 40-50 overs तक जो भी end के 5-6 whoever will be remaining, they will be giving us the runs, and that is what happened today. KS Bharat, he was dismissed of the second ball, but after that, that partnership happened. What was going on in your mind when that partnership was building? Were you guys hopeful, or is it more like कि भाई you're just delaying the inevitable?
For me, it was just like delaying the inevitable. Ki jo bhi aa raha hai, just take it as a bonus, because see, India started this day with 318 runs behind. Right, you needed a miraculous kind of batting performance to get get close to Australia's total, and India still ended up 173 runs short, and 173 runs are a lot of runs, because even if you dismiss Australia then for 150 in their second innings, you still have to chase more than 300 runs on this pitch, and this is not an easy pitch to bat on. We have seen how many batters have got hit on their fingers just because of the awkward bounce. So yeah, I mean it was delaying the inevitable, but you still want to see some fight. So yeah, it was probably the only enjoyable phase as an Indian fan, I believe, in this test match, because that is the only time you felt that India was trying to put Australia under pressure, because apart from that, that hasn't happened in this test match.
Hmm. I really like this comment from Jaydeep where he talks about Shardul's ability with the bat and ball and this warrior mentality. I mean, I have no qualms in actually expecting that every time I see Shardul in the 11, and I feel that, doesn't give me a lot of confidence. But I mean, credit to him, he keeps on delivering. Even today, when India went out to bowl, he was the first change bowler ahead of Umesh Yadav. So yeah, I mean, kudos to him, right? And I mean, it just shows us that, at times reputation numbers are not enough when it comes to these clutch moments, crunch matches, and at the international level.
Yeah,
That is true.
also, a lot of times it's also the usage. There are people like Shardul Thakur who need to be used at the right time to get the best out of them. Sometimes if you're going to use him as your new ball bowler, it is not going to work out. So you have to be smart enough to understand that okay, he is your first change or second change bowler, and then you use him that way, give him the fields, and he's probably the only one in this lineup who actually swings the ball a lot.
Hmm.
Everybody else, Shami, Siraj, Umesh, they're all skiddy and they'll you like to use the seam more. So
Hmm.
again, which is why he was brought on earlier. And I have to remember, even when they Australia got off to a start where Smith and Manas were going, Shardul came back, applied a bit of pressure, which led to a mistake. Now, I'm not saying he caused the mistake, but he was always there in the game. So again, kudos to him to be able to fight it out and why find a way for him to work.
Okay,
Also,
let me guys put you on a spot here. Now, this is something that plagued Indian cricket for a while, that they do not really have a pace bowling all rounder, and Shardul Thakur is perhaps the best possible option available right now. So, if you want to mold him as a player who can actually represent India not just in England, across countries as that pace bowling all rounder at the test level, what should be your game plan? What things you would want him to adapt, learn, or overall just changes that he needs to make to come from being just a lord or a clutch player to be actually be someone that you would want him in the 11 and would be like, yeah, Shardul hai to fir kya tension.
so
Yeah.
I'd like to, you know, from what I have seen in ODIs, I think he's actually worked on his control, because you look at his numbers from 2022 and compare it to his ODI numbers before that, he's actually done well. I mean, he got his economy down to 5.6, 5.7 for that year, and he was only being hit for runs while bowling in the death. In the middle overs, he was still able to bowl to his fields. So from what I'd like to see from Shardul is that, when he's bowling in a phase where nothing's happening, like how he was bowling in the first innings when that partnership was building, just try and bowl to your field so that you can keep the runs down. I just think sometimes maybe he leaks runs in test matches or in ODIs otherwise, because he's trying to be little too fancy, or trying too much, because see, in test matches you can get wickets, or even in limited overs, where you can, if you can just hold up the runs. A classic example of this is, someone like James Anderson. You saw him bowl, in Pakistan as well, or you see him bowl in flat tracks. If he knows there is no help, he'll start bowling dry. His economy rarely goes over 2.5. So for me, the one thing that I'd like to see from Shardul is that when there is not help available for him, just try and bowl to your fields and bowl dry. Let the batter then make the mistake, rather than give them scoring opportunities. Because sometimes he tries to bowl short, and he doesn't have the pace for it, and then
Hmm.
he starts spoiling that over. And it sometimes happens with him even in ODIs. You will bowl four good balls, but then you will eventually try something which is not your strength and end up leaking those runs. So maybe if he can control that part of his game, I think he can be an even better test cricketer, or a cricketer overall.
Yep, I mean, some valid points made there. Let's switch to India's bowling in the second innings, and also we'll touch upon Australia's batting as well. What caught your eye? What disappointed you? I mean, of course, there was Mohammad Shami doing Mohammad Shami things, not bowling full enough. I was pretty impressed with how Siraj began. I mean, it was literally just trying to make a game out of it, and the results uh, were there to see. And then once Jadeja, I mean, I was of the opinion that the Smith Labuschagne partnership will be broken by Jadeja. I was telling the boys here as well that by Jadeja hi chahiye,
Nice,
and it just happened. But
nice.
yeah, I mean, then Jadeja went on to get head as well, and that is when I hold my head कि भाई दूसरा end से अगर दूसरा भाई होता तो things could have been very different. But yeah, your thoughts on India's bowling today?
Yeah, I think firstly the Manas alarm caught everybody's eye and attention. It was great to
Yeah.
see that. Also, a reminder that had it been Indian, also it is fine. नहीं तो Indian होता तो everybody would have jumped on him that Are he's going to bat and he's sleeping. This is how you
Yeah.
prepare for Test cricket.
Mm.
How do you
Yeah.
play for a country like this? So it's okay, just chill. I think that phase was very good to see the battle that Siraj had with Manas, and they actually showed a very good clip on air in terms of where Smith was intercepting the ball and where Manas was, because there was a
Mm.
question that why is Manas getting hit a lot. So apparently in that particular phase, Manas was meeting the ball far ahead of himself as compared to Smith, who was allowing the ball to come to him and then not get hit. So maybe it is something that we've discussed in the past as well, that why having a good back foot game is also very very crucial for you, especially while you are in England. So very keen to see how that works out for Manas, because he's been there all along, and he hasn't looked at his fluent best. He's fought hard, he's got hit, but he's been there, which is good sign for Australia. But Smith, I think, began in an overdrive. Got a few good clips from Umesh to sum up his career. That he gets a wicket and then two balls that are
Yeah.
very much down the leg side. But
That's peak
that's
Umesh.
yeah, that's it is peak Umesh. But I like the way Jadeja bowled to him and Manus both. I mean, did not give much away. And Smith actually tried to hit Jadeja, and he did hit him in the first innings well, coming down the ground. But this time,
Mm.
maybe Jadeja was more prepared, and which is why he got it to hold a bit. And with head, I think it was very good to see the way India applied the fields very, very well. That it was short ball directly with Siraj, right lines, and it was Jadeja from the other end. Left arm
Mm.
bowler can bowl to a left-handed batter. Maybe some IPL teams will not agree, or Dhawan will agree. But putting that aside, it was, some people have the issue of starting with spin, which we saw
Mm.
very evidently with head, that he was trying to drag, not able to drive very easily from outside off, and Jadeja was hitting the rough well. So even after that drop catch, to create a chance immediately is just speaks volume about both heads hesitancy versus left arm spin, and how good Jadeja was in that phase for India.
Mm. Yeah.
I actually think the few balls that turned, they started playing uh, in Travis's head. Head. So I think that actually got into his head, because there was one ball which he was looking to leave, and it barely missed the stumps. It came back in very sharply, and while all of that was happening, I was just going back to day one. But I was like, "Chalo, up to lost cause hai. Let's just prepare ourselves for a lion fifer in the fourth innings." But yeah, I mean, much more disciplined, yes, but I was disappointed with Mohammad Shami. I mean, you saw other bowlers improving, you saw overall the bowling plans improving, but if your senior most bowler is not making the correction after the mistakes he made in the first innings, after also seeing how others bowled, I mean, that was quite disappointing for me. Again, figures wise, it would look like that he bowled well, because 10 over 17 runs, but
And there will be
hardly.
some highlight worthy balls as well.
Yeah, but just there was just that last over where he got Green in trouble. But yeah, that
Mm.
was maybe that one ball which missed the stumps. Probably if it had been a little fuller, maybe it would have crashed into the stumps. But yeah, I was just very disappointed with Shami.
Yeah, and overall, it just, I mean, what I feel is whenever Shami tries to bowl a little full, he misses his lines. He goes down the leg side. So maybe it's the difficulty factor with him is that he's unable to control his lines. A lot of people in the comments actually feel that India can target 370 even and chase this down. So if you really feel that India can chase this down, just give this video a like
Yeah,
and
Kappa has
subscribe to this
spoiled
channel.
everyone.
Yeah, subscribe the channel if you have not done so already. Meanwhile, I'll just take a couple of comments because I mean, obviously, guys, we don't really have a lot to discuss from the day. It's just that kind of a day. I realized this question from Vinesh, who asked us: Manas Labuschagne is playing same as Kohli does in England, no back foot game. He's playing every ball on front foot. So, what do you think? What do you think Kohli will be successful in second innings?
So yeah, go on, Guruzat, if you want to say.
I mean, he could be, but odds are probably not in his favor because the pitch will be even more. Will be playing even more tricks than what it is right now. And with Marnus, it's surprising because when he was playing those 4 Test matches in India, he was playing spin on the back foot. So
Hmm.
many times he got out bowled or LBW while waiting on the back foot.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about his game against pace, which is predominantly a front foot game. But let's not forget, Labuschagne has not really been successful in England, right? He's done well. He scored a few 50s. He's yet to get 100, if I'm not mistaken, because even the last Ashes and this Test first innings, that was a very sloppy dismissal. So again, I mean, he has a lot to learn about his game as well in England. He might have done well in county, but I mean, who hasn't?
But
Yeah, yeah. I think with Virat again, it's not that something that we don't know that how he wants to play and the preference that he has. But it will be very interesting to see if he makes that changes. I don't see them making it now, but you saw Pujara making that change in terms of moving outside his crease at times, going back and punching because those are the two shots you didn't see from Pujara a lot. So the back foot punch that you saw from Pujara in the first innings was something that is good to see it back in the game because it helps you get away. Something that Paji also touched upon in the previous review that you need that option so that the bowler is worried that this could go away, this could be punished. So the margin is that much less that okay, I can't bowl that ball to him because then this is where it will go. So I don't think they'll go a lot of short balls to him, but predominantly it is going to be that good length in the channel kind of bowling. But yeah, whenever there is that short bit, expecting him to make that change, but of course, I don't think it'll be as massive.
Hmm.
with a cheeky comment.
Yeah, man. Yeah, one other comment that I really wanted to take is again from Pranav Anand. He's asking, batting has gotten a little easier with the older ball. Now, I'm not convinced Bharat's batting ability. Can India consider sending him at 3-4 to delay Kohli Rahane's entry point? He'll still be uneven. See, Pranav, you can't expect street smartness in a team full of egos. As I mean, it's I mean the ego was right there to see when Kohli was there being a slip fielder for Jadeja because he has no business being there. I mean I mean every even a casual watcher of the sport will know that India can find better slip catches than him against spin, but he's still out there. So uh, I can just answer that's not, even though it will be a street smart move, but you can't expect street smartness here. I mean, do you guys think any differently?
No, what
Yeah,
Pranav has suggested as actually makes a little bit of sense because batting has gotten easier with the ball going soft. And that is something that we have seen not only in England, but we saw this in Bangladesh. We have seen it in India also because when the ball goes soft, batting does become easier because the ball doesn't misbehave as much as it would when it's new, when, especially when it's landed on a crack. So there is merit to it, but I don't see it happening.
Hmm. Yep, a lot of people feel India can actually chase 370. What do you guys feel? I mean, before we wrap this up, do you give India any chance? Although this will be a conversation we can have at the end of the day tomorrow as well, if the game is still, alive by then. But what do you think if India chasing 370? What needs to happen?
100 and stand between Rohit and Gill to start.
Hmm.
To start off, that's what you need because that's when you'll have the new ball taken care of in terms of seeing it off, having everybody bowl enough overs because Pat is the kind of captaincy we saw from him where he was rotating a lot of bowlers after a 3 over or a 4 over spell as compared to a 6-7 over spell. So you will have a lot of bowlers who would have bowled. Uh, I don't think there are foot marks as of now for the right hander versus the off spinner. So that should not be a problem ideally, but we don't know how much it'll change in the next 2 days. So if at all India are to chase, they need a very good start, and like it always has been, you will need one of your top three to score a massive century. It has to be 150 plus kind of knock, because then it sets it up for the others. Because this kind of attack and the kind of batting that India have, sometimes you can easily lose 2-3 if you lose one, because
Hmm.
the things like this happen in a chase, and you have to discount or not. Like, you have to remember there is no Rishabh Pant. Uh,
Hmm.
it is very easy to fall into that part that not many teams chase well in test matches. There are 2 days to chase scores at two runs per over, but it still doesn't happen because it's a lot different battle. So you need players who can bat differently and put pressure on the bowling. So it will need a lot of proactive batting. And if the see actually we've seen runs in the oval on day 4 and day 5. So it's not that it can't happen, but you will just have to be you'll have to get the perfect start to have any hope.
Yeah, India neither have KL nor Pant actually.
So, I mean, the last time when India played here, even England had got a 100 run start. They were 100 for
Hmm.
zero, and still
Yeah.
England ended up 150 runs short. So
Hmm.
if we are looking at pure numbers from an Indian point of view, outside of Gaba, I think the last time India chased more than 200 in Sena countries was Adelaide 2003. So because apart from that, India have not really chased a lot of scores, because if we go back in the recent past, we struggled to chase down 190 odd in Gaul in Sri Lanka, and so India have not been great chasers in test matches anyway. I think Gaba has just spoiled expectations a little bit. But if
Hmm.
it were to happen, you'd really need, like Nikhil said, a good start, probably a 100 run partnership, and then you will need someone like Gill to carry on. Because if he can carry on, what he'll do is he'll make sure that the scoreboard keeps ticking on. Because 370 or 400, there are enough runs that once you start getting into a shell and you lose a couple of wickets, the opposition captain can then start bringing in attacking fields. So if you have one batter who can keep ticking on the scores, the fields will open up. Those inside out fields also allow you as a batter some breather, that okay, there is no short leg, or maybe there's only one of short leg or silly point. Because when there are both, you always have it's always playing on your mind as a batter, and that is what brings in a little bit of tentativeness and everything else into place. So if India do chase it, it would probably be a very very memorable game. But yeah, I won't have my hopes up for it.
Yeah, and you're talking about 2003 when the Indian team had actual goats. There's just one comment that I would I'd like to take before we wrap this up. And Joydeep is saying, after all these years, Umesh has clearly proved he's good for Asian conditions. Control has been highlight of his career. I don't know if he means it in a positive way or a negative way, because it can be either. Whatever game he plays now, he shouldn't play. India shouldn't play him in away games. Now, again, the point here is, if you're not going to play him in away games, then why play him in Asian conditions? Because in Asia, you already have three top class spinners to win games. You're not relying on a pacer to win your games. And if you play him in Asia, then whenever you're traveling away, you won't, if there is an injury, you won't bleed someone new, because you will use the cushion that he's not played tests for India. So what is the point of playing him in any conditions is the question here. You might as well use those tests in Asian conditions to give Unatkat a longer run, or test someone else who's done well in the red ball team with the India A side, or at the Ranji Trophy level. So it just this cycle will never break unless and until you know that in Asia certain bowlers are going to win you tests, but certain players you will play so as to groom them.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said, because also you have to look at his age. He's 35. So, I mean, there's a reason why he's only played one test match in South Africa in four tours.
Hmm.
There's a reason why Siraj in such a short time has eclipsed him as the second or the third pacer overseas. So yeah, I mean, if India are not going to play him away also, then there's no point of continuing with him unless there are injuries or whatever. I think even then, home series should you should just look to groom paces in those home series and see what you have for the overseas tours. And yeah, so I agree with what you said. And I just want to say one thing, that I think we could probably expect a 50, 60 or a 70 from Chiteshwar Pujara, because he might also be playing for his career uh, in the second innings.
Yeah, let's see. Let's hope. Let's hope. Firstly, Pujara is out there. Or hopefully, not out there batting while when we are talking tomorrow. But with that, we'll just wrap this show up. Those of you watching, those of you tuned in, thanks a lot for tuning in, and please do like this video, subscribe to the channel if you've not done that already. We'll see you tomorrow, and probably we'll see you at the end of day 5 as well. So, good night. Take care.
Yeah, and we are just too old to have high expectations. Cheers.
Yeah.